Feeling isolated and misunderstood with ADHD, you are not alone. Hi friends, I'm Maguire, and today I want to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention. How deeply isolating it can feel to live with ADHD when the people around you don't understand what it's really like. Maybe you have friends or family members who mean well, but they just don't get it. They say things like, just try harder. Why don't you remember the simplest things? You always make everything so complicated. And then sometimes they tell you what to do, which, as you know from other videos, just sends me over the edge. And slowly those little misunderstandings start to pile up and you stop explaining, you stop reaching out, and you start to feel like maybe you're too much, you're not enough. That's what we're going to talk about today. The emotional loneliness of ADHD and how to start rebuilding connection even when you feel misunderstood. Why ADHD can feel so isolating. ADHD isn't just about focus or organization. It affects how you experience the world, emotionally, socially, relationally, and unless someone lives with it, it's hard for them to grasp how real the struggle is. I mean, the struggle is real. You might feel things more intensely than others, have different needs when it comes to structure, conversation, energy, struggle with executive function in ways others interpret as laziness or carelessness, apologize constantly even when you're trying your best. Over time, this mismatch can lead to a deep loneliness, not because you're actually alone, but because you don't feel seen. How misunderstandings affect your relationships. When your friends, your family don't understand your ADHD, it can show up as criticism instead of support. It minimizes your struggles. It's not that hard, people say, comparing you to a neurotypical standard, making you feel like you're always falling short, withdrawing emotionally when they get frustrated. And for you, it might mean masking your traits to keep the peace, avoiding vulnerability because it feels unsafe, feeling like you're constantly failing at being normal. How to start rebuilding connection. You can't make people understand ADHD overnight, but you can start creating small moments of clarity, advocacy, and self-trust that begin to shift the dynamic. Speak from your experience instead of defending your behavior. Share what it's like internally. For example, when I'm late, it's not because I don't care, it's because I lost track of time in a way that's really hard for me to control. This builds empathy without sounding like an excuse. Educate without lecturing. Share a video, a post, or a small insight. Choose your moments wisely. Not every situation calls for an explanation, and not every person calls for an explanation. I'm talking about picking safe people who you feel would be open to this. Maybe they have a child with ADHD. Maybe they have a relative with ADHD. Maybe they are someone who tends to be empathetic. They just don't understand this. I wouldn't try to explain to everyone because a lot of people are not emotionally safe, and there's no point. But sometimes a little context does go a long way. Set boundaries that protect your energy. If a certain person consistently dismisses or criticizes your ADHD, it's okay to pull back a little. You don't have to owe constant exposure to people who don't respect your reality. Find community where you are understood, whether it's a coach, a support group, online spaces, a fandom. Being around others who get it makes all the difference. You deserve to be seen and supported without having to explain every detail. And my experience with my clients and with myself is that this empowers you. When you have one night a week, 1 hour a week, many hours a week, I hope, where someone understands you and someone validates you, what starts happening is that the other people become less important, or you start to find new people. Because when I say finding your people, I mean finding people who are emotionally safe and supportive. I don't mean putting yourself in harm's way so that you're with people who don't get it. That is not what I mean. Work on self-validation. The truth is, some people may never fully understand what it's like to live in your brain, and that hurts. But their lack of understanding doesn't define your worth. You're allowed to trust your own experience even when others don't see it. And I've actually been making many podcast episodes about this with other experts So if you haven't, check out the ADHD Social Playbook podcast. I'm interviewing amazing experts and we talk about things like this. And I think it's a good experience, very validating. You are not too much and you are definitely not alone. If you've ever felt like the odd one out in your family or group and they don't really get you, I want you to hear this. You're not too sensitive. You're not making it up. You're not imagining how hard it feels. You are important and you are not alone. And millions of people with ADHD carry this same ache. But there is community. There are people who will understand, and there are always ways to rebuild trust in yourself for those who don't see the real full picture. Feeling isolated and misunderstood is one of the hardest emotional parts of living with ADHD, but it doesn't have to stay that way. You can find your people, you can teach others how to support you, and you can stop waiting for validation from people who aren't ready to give it. If this video spoke to you, drop a comment and tell me one thing you wish people understood about ADHD. And are there any people that you've tried to help understand? And have you tried that community thing? Because honestly, I am with an ADHD community all the time, and therefore when people don't get it, it doesn't really matter to me, but I remember a time when it did. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe and leave a comment. Bye, friends.